We shall now see the parts of the hibiscus flower. Stem. A stem is one of two main structural axes of a vascular plant. The stem is normally divided into nodes and internodes. The nodes hold buds, which grow into one or more leaves, flowers, conifer cones, roots, other stems, etc. The internodes distance one node from another. A stem develops buds and shoots and usually grows above the ground. Inside the stem, materials move up and down the tissues of the transport system. Receptacle. It is the lower structure which supports the flower. It is the expanded region at the end of a peduncle to which the floral parts are attached. It is usually convex but may become flattened or concave. Besides protecting floral pieces, it takes care of the ovules, keeping them apart from animals. It is shaped like a cup. Petals. Petals are modified leaves that surround the reproductive parts of flowers. They are often brightly colored or unusually shaped to attract pollinators. Together, all of the petals of a flower are called a corolla. Petals are usually accompanied by another set of special leaves called sepals that collectively form the calyx and lie just beneath the corolla. Calyx. The calyx consists of green leaf-like structures, the sepals, which protect the delicate inner parts of the flower, while it is developing and prevent it from desiccating. There are usually as many sepals as there are petals, and they are arranged so that they alternate with the petals. A calyx tube is formed when the lateral margins of the individual spells fuse. Anther. The pollen-bearing part at the upper end of the stamen of a flower. Most anthers occur at the tip of a slender, stem-like filament, and have two lobes. When pollen matures in the pollen sacs, the lobes of the anthers burst open in the process, known as dehiscence, to release the pollen. The apical portion of a stamen, which produces the microspores or pollen grains. An anther normally comprises 4 pollen sacs, but only 2 in the Malvaceae, arranged in 2 groups or lobes joined by the connective tissue to the filament. If the anther is attached to the filament on the dorsal surface, allowing it to pivot, it is called a versatile anther. If it is attached dorsally, but there is no movement, it is termed a basifixed anther. And if attached at the base, it is a basifixed anther. The wall of the anther lobes consists of an outer epidermis, below which is the endothecium. This surrounds an inner nutritive layer or tapetum. Within the cavity, leculus, of the lobe's pollen mother cells undergo rheosis to form tetrads of pollen grains. The individual pollen sacs are joined by zones of parenchyma tissue. Stigma are part of the carpels, which are the female reproductive organs. The hairy outgrowths on the surface of the stigma are resolved to a great extent. These aid in successful pollination. The receptive tip of the carpel, which receives pollen at pollination, and on which the pollen grain germinates. The stigma is adapted to catch and trap pollen, either by combing pollen off visiting insects, or by various hairs, flaps, or sculpturings. The stigma usually secretes sticky substances, which may act as a pollen trap but may also be involved in the complex pollen or stigma compatibility interactions. The stigma and style act as physiological filters in controlling cross-fertilization, although the actual mechanisms appear to be variable and little understood. Style. It is a stalk structure in female flower parts, the usually slender part of a pistil, situated between the ovary and the stigma. The sterile portion of the carpel between the ovary and the stigma, which may be elongated or feathery, especially in wind-pollinated species, so that the stigma is presented in an effective place for pollination. In primitive forms, the styles of individual carpels are separate. The style elongates after pollination and remains attached to the fruit. This is an adaptation to promote wind dispersal of the seed. These were the parts of the hibiscus flower.